In the beginning, there was the FNAF. We know not where it came from, but only that it had the power to create the genre known as Mascot horror. FNAF was the great starter to this entire genre, the new wave displaying horror and thrill by locking you away inside a little office while some animatronics might get a little quirky at night.
The first night is never usually that bad in any of the games, so I'll play through.
It was new, inventive, and had oh sweet lore. Nearing the late 2010s and early 2021, the genre was running low on fumes. Baldi became irrelevant. Bendy and the Ink Machine fumbled its final chapter, and no one knew whether or not the Dark Revival was real or just a theory. And FNAF, the grand titan that started it all, was busy delaying their next big hit till the actual last day of 2021. This left room for a competitor. This was an opportunity to make the next big hit, if the cards were played right. And a little studio called Mob Games came in with a royal flush. Poppy Playtime was released in October of 2021 for the right price of 5 big ones to experience what was essentially a tech demo. It was short but somehow captured much attention in the Mascot horror community, reshaping the genre for both better and worse. To this day, there is nothing more memorable than that final chase scene with the Hugsters. There's just something about its claustrophobic nature, setup, and the monster chasing you that is just oh so perfect, and Mob have yet to recreate something as good or better than this. The first chapter introduced many aspects of the franchise that would go on to define it in both good and bad lights. 4 games, 2 dead spin-offs, and a Fortnite collab later.
Oh, you've got to put some swaz on it, Gromit.
And all we have left might be Chapter 5. This franchise has been going on for almost 5 years, and I think Chapter 5 might mark the end of the games. Not the franchise though, of course. They gotta milk that shoit dry with them critter plushies. I think it's time to do a little retrospective on the franchise. I want to go over it all and dissect the franchise like that meat grinder did to Mommy Longlegs' legs. Or say that 5 times fast. Let's take a trip through Poppy Playtime and see how it improved in each aspect of Mascot horror, how it changed and set itself apart from the genre for better and worse. Now, without further ado, I invite you to sit back, relax, and hit that subscribe button to earn my unconditional love as I give you Poppy Playtime, the game that killed and saved Mascot horror. Poppy Playtime released technically 5 games after the success of the first. You got your mainline games.
Mommy knows other ways to play with you.
He did what?
And then the failed spin-off and random Roblox game that is actually more wasted than your one drunk uncle after slamming too many Budweisers. I don't count it. The first step into this deep dive is breaking down the games so we get a better idea of what they've done to shape the franchise and the Mascot horror community. So, let's get cracking. This all starts because we find a note telling us after 10 years our co-workers are still kicking it in the old Playtime factory. So we head in there and use our trusty company-gifted grab pack to descend into the factory until our favorite blue boy with brittle bones disease helps us get our cardio in. We proceed to crack his back like one of those chiropractors on TikTok.
Take a deep breath in and
Before finding Poppy herself in a box. The first chapter was actually nothing but a tech demo, but did a lot right in the game, such as atmosphere, the introduction to our game mechanic, and the chase with the man we all know and love. It was pretty basic in terms of gameplay, with your grab pack mechanic and power towers. After waking up Poppy in the last chapter, she tells us that she can get you out of here because she has the code to a certain Thomas the Tank Engine that's lying around here. She later gets snatched away by a mysterious hand that we later find out it belongs to Mommy Longlegs, our arch nemesis for the chapter.
You're going to have so much fun.
She is holding Poppy captive, and as long as we play some lighthearted games, she'll give us the code and we can go. Our games consist of Simon Says, Abuse the Baby Huggies, and Squid Games. Being the ultimate gamer we are, we speedrun these games while getting a piece of the train code and a new electric hand until we decide to lock and load out of the final game.
Scott here?
You know what? He just left.
Really?
Stretchy Stretch Legs throws a fit and tries to play hide-and-go-seek tag with us until she forgets about work safety protocols. We get the code, get Poppy, and get out of here. Or not.
I can't let you leave.
The game built upon the previous one and introduced new characters, mechanics, and of course, lore. The animation and voice acting is great. Gameplay became even more fun with the addition of the green hand that allows you to swipe electricity from one area to another. The ability to Spider-Man across the factory was also added in this game, and both new mechanics were great additions and gave the ability to do puzzles in tense situations. Project Playtime was the only game released in 2023 to keep Mob as a presence while they made Chapter 3. It was the first and only legit spin-off game where there are 6 survivors and 1 monster, and you have a choice between Huggy, Mommy, and a new foe, Boxy Baby. Boo. You complete puzzles to get toy parts, dispense the toy parts, get on the train, and get out of there without the monster killing everyone. The last update was over 2 years ago, and for all we know, this game ain't coming back. Catnap extracts you from the train crash, and we eventually meet up with our phone guy, Ollie. He helps us get into play care, and after a welcome to Jurassic Park-esque moment, we gotta go diverge the gas in the gas production zone, but someone didn't pay the electricity bill. So now we gotta manually reboot it. Strapped with a new grab pack, we head out to different buildings around Playcare, getting the backup generators to repower the facility. We encounter a Nightmare Huggy, Psycho Teacher that's a little clumsy, Kiwi Critters, and a Mold Dog Day. Poppy and Kissy are also here to help us with the game, but they're mostly here for lore drops. After Catnap gives us an amazing boss fight and neck surgery from the prototype, we find out the Poppy Playtime equivalent of 9/11.
This is your answer.
This game introduced 2 new hands to our grab pack, which is the bouncy purple hand and the flare gun, which makes my American soul sing. All hands get their time to shine in the chapter, even the blue hand. Puzzles were even more complex and drawn out to really make sure that you're always entertained, even if there isn't a chase or lore happening in front of you. Poppy Playtime Forever is the most dead game ever. Basically Project Playtime, but without the player being a monster in this game. It's bad, boring, it's Roblox, and what else do I have to say? The shift from Chapter 3 to 4 is like getting a point-blank flashbanged.
Time to open the window!
And people even encounter this in the game! Right out the gate, Poppy drops us off to get Kissy back, and we wander around and hear one of Ollie's 2 voice lines this chapter. After meeting the aura-filled doctor, we fight off some critters and get the never-missed red hand back. After avoiding this sideways mouth man, we watch Doey molest Pianosaurus, and he leads us to the safe house for the good guys. Yes, we do have a toy civil war going on here. We go off to get the Omni hand from the doctor to fix the Haven's generator. After Garnaby and the doctor, we get the hand and fix the generator. We attempt to carry out Poppy's plan of blowing this place sky high, but we find out the prototype absolutely rocked the safe haven.
With no survivors!
Doey goes all final form on us. After finishing him off, we meet up with Poppy and find out Ollie ain't Ollie. And Poppy leaves us again. We find ourselves deeper in the place called the labs, where we alert our old Brittlebones friend Huggy. Chapter 4 really dropped the ball on their foot and broke all their toes with the gameplay. Basically all the power towers and additions to power towers were removed, and we got no replacement. And no, that red hand does not count. Oh wait, but the Omni hand.
No!
No movies!
We were regulated to the basic Mascot horror puzzles with the occasional clever puzzle. The feet bones connect. Overall, the gameplay here wasn't the best. With that out of the way, let's dissect this beast of a franchise. I want to get something straight by saying I could never hate on Poppy Playtime, as I simply love it too much. It's like throwing your 3-year-old son into traffic. I would never, but I do have the right to crack the belt out if he puts tinfoil in the microwave for the 3rd time. The quick success of the first chapter of Poppy Playtime kinda created the status quo for Mascot Horror. Who needs a long chapter with actually more gameplay and intrigue for the player when all you need is a 20-minute tech demo that shows off the face of the chapter only at the very end? Mob proved that the easiest way to actually profit off a Mascot horror game is by appealing to children watching the game. Let's face it, children's attention spans are quite bad and only getting worse, and they prefer way more to watch a 20-minute video featuring this cool-looking blue guy than a 4-hour video of some other Mascot horror game. Why care about gameplay when the children simply just want to watch a video of someone playing it? They see Jumbo Jorge in the game and then beg their mom to buy all the new plushies for them at their local merch store. Yes, Poppy wasn't the first to do a tech demo like Chapter 1, but they were the first that showed that it really works. The Mascot horror genre got absolutely flooded with filler games after that had no substance and were just there to cash in a quick buck. Even Chapter 2 of Poppy Playtime didn't fix this problem, because it still wasn't a true horror game and simply just gave people more marketable designs to try and copy. Mob began the bonfire of Mascot horror's reputation and certainly wasn't helping to stop it, hence the merch button. Yes, they put merch out not even knowing how popular their game was gonna get, because they knew at least there would be some children that would want them plushies.
I need it!
And they were right, sadly. and now many other games have followed in their footsteps, including Satan's Spawn, Garten of Banban. This problem has since been put to the side after they redeemed themselves with Chapter 3, but they were only free from problems for so long, and we'll get to discuss those later down the line. Now, of course, the main star of any game should be the gameplay. Good gameplay keeps the player engaged and entertained. Poppy Playtime has developed a formula for these games. You gotta get to point A to point B while doing around 3 or 4 big moments along the way. The climax is always when the monsters that have been nice to you take the gloves off and go just batshit crazy, and they want your spine framed on their wall. I'll kill you! It's predictable, but works quite well. One thing I will say is not awful is their main game mechanic. For Poppy Playtime, it's the grab pack. This thing is amazing. The grab pack is essentially your master keycard, electrician, and all-American military hardware. This is probably the greatest game mechanic ever introduced in a Mascot horror game because of its potential. From the slappy hands being fun to use, to there being an infinite amount of ways to switch up the gameplay with new hand additions, this means a constant refresh of puzzles. The grab pack is also great from a marketing perspective. Its colorful mechanic is appealing to the eye, and those slappy hands are engaging for both the players and the children who watch the games. They help make puzzles more fun to do and contribute to Poppy Playtime's rise to power. The grab pack works great for the puzzles in the game. You got your power towers, your green juice redirectors, twisty power towers, and slabby cannons. Chapter 3 is largely to thank for this boost in gameplay variety. Now, its only downside is that the game really focuses on power puzzles, and I mean, I'm sure there's more you can do with the grab pack than just power towers. And I know Chapter 4 attempted to change that. Keyword attempted, because its way of attempting was throwing everything unique to the franchise out the window. Since Chapter 3, Poppy Playtime has somehow not figured out how to expand the grab pack's use, even though that is probably the most easily milkable game mechanic with infinite possibilities for hands. With our green hand gone, we could have had a pink hand that acts like a flare gun. But in this case, you find battery shells to load the gun with and shoot at power outlets too far for the grab pack. You can have an orange hand that is stronger than normal, so you can pull large items that would normally require both your hands, leaving one hand free to do puzzles, which offers more puzzle variety. I mean, there are infinite possibilities for gameplay with this, and they gave us red hand again, but this time you can only use it 5 times. But you swear this one is more special. Poppy Playtime's gameplay is some of the most innovative there is, but for some reason they really fumbled when it came to the little speed bump known as...
Hiya there, pal.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Chapter 4 took the reputation of Poppy Playtime, never missing, and gave everybody skepticism for the games. While these games are less trustworthy, we always know we can count on that lore to always be on point. Story is important with Mascot horror franchises. Good storytelling means the viewers and players of small and MatPat-sized brains can follow along. Of course, to see if Poppy Playtime does this well, we'll need to be on the same page of the lore. So, to catch y'all up to speed, I'll give you the barest bones rundown of the Poppy Playtime story. Playtime Co. was founded by the one and only Elliot Ludwig, who wanted to make children and his bank account smile.
Here comes the money!
He created the Poppy doll, which is a huge hit, and the company began making big bucks, until they didn't. So in order to maximize profits while paying as few people as possible, they created the Bigger Bodies Initiative. While most of these bigger body versions of the toys were unsuccessful, there was a really cool one that turned out to be the young Sheldon of the experiments. On August 8th, 1985, the prototype orchestrated the Hour of Joy, where all the toys said flip and gave all the people in the factory the chair. Everyone was murdered that day. The prototype then yoinked all the orphans that were getting experimented on and hid them in the deepest depths of the factory. And the factory shut down until us, a broken employee, comes back to the factory. And that's the big book of Playtime for you. This is probably my most controversial take for this franchise, so hopefully no one airstrikes my house when I say this, but I think Poppy Playtime does lore way better than most games in this genre, and that includes FNAF. Now, don't shoot me yet. First off, there's actual story here, and I know what you're thinking. Ride or die, every Mascot horror game has a story. Yes, technically every game has a story, if you're willing to watch 14 game theory compilations and an 8-hour Jumbo Josh documentary. Poppy Playtime story doesn't require you to have the same DNA as MatPat just to understand what's happening. Most Mascot horror games love to bury their plot in collectible notes or extensive yap sessions in recordings.
If I recall correctly, only maintenance workers...
Poppy Playtime does have lore notes and tapes too, but it's not where the majority of the lore is. Starting after Chapter 1, the games actually convey the story through the gameplay. There's dialogue, well-paced cutscenes, for the most part. Now, it isn't perfect, and personally, I feel like things like our identity shouldn't be kept a secret for all this time because they're literally supposed to be the ground support of the lore. I need the essentials, and I feel like knowing who we are isn't essential for the lore. Seeing the prototype's goal and body being kept a secret is good suspense. With the player, in my opinion, I just find it annoying that they haven't said anything yet. I will admit, the game can accidentally dump bombshells of lore into papers and VHS tapes.
Oh yes, one minor note here.
Poppy is Elliot Ludwig's daughter.
To today. Next we have...
Few only know about these lore dumps because they decided to look at the VHS tape or apparently play the latest Fortnite map. I mean, I like lore hints in VHS tapes and notes, but that should solely be for world building because that's additional content, not your opportunity to smack us in the head that Poppy is Elliot Ludwig's daughter.
Why, you little...
While Poppy Playtime definitely falls into the pitfalls of typical mediocre Mascot horror storytelling, they've also managed to take a braver spin on it by actually putting some dang story front and center, and not just written in notes or stuffed in your grandma's cassette collection. I think that's something that Poppy Playtime should still work on fixing for Chapter 5, 6, or maybe even 7 if we get one. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to make a 6-7 joke. No, I don't want to see the flowers. Characters are important. They are the crutch for Mascot horror games, and most importantly, they are the merch cows. Oh yeah, buy your new limited edition Rainbow Huggy plush doll before it's too late. Let's be honest, I don't think they would have made a game centered around toys if they didn't plan on selling some. But what sets Mob apart when it comes to their mascots in this genre is that they know how to make them interesting, not just marketable. The big bads in each chapter are a great example of how innovative they can be with their character design. They each have a namaste in psychotic form. Huggy is tall and imposing when we meet him in the first chapter, while in his unfreaky mode, that wide grin and hand held up gives a fake sense of shelter to the player, as we know it's just a facade for that devious mind hiding inside him.
It says here in your little filey.
In his freak mode, he's a beast, fired up testosterone titan of a killer who will do anything to take us down. But little does he know, a box can take him down. Mommy has an uncanny design with her oh-so-stretchy limbs and bright pink colors. She definitely looks like she was once part of a toy line, but doesn't have that monster look Huggy did. Even in her crazed form, she doesn't look that scary, but don't let that fool you because her personality and backstory will make her character work. Catnap is a mustard-breathing cat who was once an orphan who had a come-to-Jesus moment with the prototype, who he believes is his god. During the chapter, you will always feel his looming presence because you see him everywhere, until he decides to strike with an, albeit goofy, psycho design. He ultimately meets his end after giving up his sins to his lord. The Doctor is an underutilized aura-farming man.
Now what's this?
And the Oscar goes to...
The Doctor.
This man is a straight-up villain and responsible for these experiments, and is given a great backstory and character development that turned him into this thing, but he gets absolutely wasted in his own game. Dowie has a great backstory, probably the best, but visually he is quite boring. I mean, what is happening in this form? I'm gonna be very honest. This is the only design that I think is quite boring, besides the obvious 3 soul symbolism. As you've seen, each monster isn't just a monster, but they have a story behind them, a personality. Each character has something that makes them tick. Mob may have set a precedent for over-marketing mascots, but at least in their game, the monsters are actually interesting beyond their jump scare. And that's what has kept them on top for so long. And this even rings true to the side characters. Just about every side character in Poppy is not there just for decoration, except for the ones that are, but we don't talk about that. Of course, there are more important side characters like that demon Poppy. This might just be her character trait, but she is not a likable character at all. Even when she seems to be on our side, I still want to punt her across multiple football fields. Others like Miss Delight, the Smiling Critters, and the dudes from the game station all have different mechanics in the game and tidbits of lore to deepen their story. I will admit it is a problem for how quickly they are to pump out merch for these guys like this, but it balances out how much care they put into these characters. Horror in any horror game, period, is built on suspense. If you can even build it. Poppy Playtime is a master at building suspense, for the most part. When the franchise gets it right, boy do they get it right.
Hello there.
From the setup to the Huggy chase or the scene in Home Sweet Home, Mob really knows setup and payoff for horror. And it's this fine craft that all other attempted copycats have failed to replicate. In Chapter 1, we deal with the solidarity of ourselves exploring the factory. It's just us, and apparently, we're not alone. Huggy disappears right at the start of the game, which leaves you wondering when will he appear next. The entire time you're waiting for him to jump out of a corner, but you always only catch glimpses of him, watching, wandering, waiting. When he pops up, there is no loud music, no jump scare, just his looming presence towering over you, and we all know how good that vent chase is. Of course, it's only scary until the Hugster's spine gets realigned. But the reason the vent chase is so remembered and scary is because of all the setup of suspense throughout the chapter, and suspense is the key to making something scary. Chapter 3 takes Mascot horror to its limits, and I don't just mean being graphic. Graphic imagery only works with suspense, and Mob nails it in this chapter. Long stretches of silence and emptiness in Home Sweet Home sequence is practically perfect. The silence is never broken, and the tension only increases when Ollie says. And who knew Huggy would once again be breaking the tension for a scare? And of course the praises of this franchise's horror wouldn't be complete without mentioning the Dog Day scene. This is by far the most disturbing scene in all of Poppy Playtime and Mascot horror. Dog Day is strung up like Jesus himself, only if Jesus lost a few limbs on the way to the cross. This poor man is a look into the terrible things that are happening in this abandoned hellscape of a factory. It's scenes like this that show the genre that you not only need the mascot, but you need the horror to sell the game. You can't just shove a player in a vent or an obstacle course with a neon mascot without build-up. There's no scare or horror. With horror like this, Poppy Playtime showed that in order to have a successful mascot horror game, you genuinely need to scare the player. Now, not all horror in the franchise is perfect, as for some reason they only get it right every other chapter. They had a bit of shortcomings when it came to Chapter 2 and 4 in this regard, as there never really was much suspense. In Chapter 2, Mommy just starts reading us War and Peace right when the game begins. You immediately lose your biggest scare factor because of this. The same goes for Chapter 4, which drowned the horror in cutscenes and exposition dumps, failing to build any suspense because someone was always around to talk. Chapter 4 also tried to be darker by actually showing us bodies, but they were literally just for show. It had the graphicness of Chapter 3, but no suspense or build-up. Yes, YouTubers oversell it. I think we all know that by now. For the most part, Poppy Playtime does indeed nail horror. Mob showed them that you can have your mascot and eat your horror too. Despite Poppy Playtime's controversial rise and its massive success to this day, I, for one, am quite worried about Chapter 5. You see, Chapter 4 has somewhat tainted the reputation of Poppy Playtime. They had hyped up Chapter 4 so much, saying it was going to be the biggest, the baddest, the coolest. And it was, well, I mean, production has been going well for Poppy Playtime Chapter 5, and they are apparently way ahead of schedule and set to release quite soon, because I know this video took way too long to make. I'm really sorry about this, guys. I'm also quite aware of why most of the Dream Team for Chapter 3 left, because of alleged working conditions. Mob Games are certainly no Blizzard of a company, but they apparently know how to crack a whip. Now, more people haven't left since the exodus before Chapter 4, so they are not in too much of a scramble to put back their team together for another game. They have also expanded the horizons of their team, added more people to the roster, which is why this game is coming out so soon. But I still have a bad feeling about this. Once again, all we've been getting is cinematic trailers. I mean, I know the gameplay trailer is coming soon, but it still worries me. Chapter 3 was so excited to release its gameplay trailer, like a 5th grader who was excited to show his book report to the class. It feels like Chapter 5 is following in Chapter 4's footsteps of doing their book report the day before it's actually due. We kind of saw this with Chapter 5's ARG. It felt sort of rushed. I mean, we got so much juicy lore, but it didn't feel as impactful as getting that final VHS tape about Catnap at the end of... Now, of course, I could be wrong, and trust me, I want to be wrong, but something just ain't right. Well, that was quite a lot. We've been through the lore, the games, the story, the problems, and the horror, exploring all of the positive and negative aspects of it as one last trip down memory lane before our possible final chapter. Jesus, it took too long to write this script. Probably Playtime is a big franchise that has set a status quo for how good games in the genre should be, but it also invited predatory business practices for the sake of money for the entire genre. For better or worse, this thing ain't ever dying anytime soon, unless they fumble this next chapter right into oblivion. We can only wait and see if this franchise will fall down a few more flights of stairs, or continue the climb back to the top. Well, that's all from me. I swear I will never take this long to release a video again, and ciao ciao for now.